Is the United States at war with ISIS? It sure sounds from the president's speech that we are.
I think that's the wrong terminology. What we are doing is engaging in a very significant counterterrorism operation. And it's going to go on for some period of time. If somebody wants to think about it as being a war with ISIL, they can do so. But the fact is, it's a major counterterrorism operation that will have many different moving parts.
Secretary Kerry overseas trying to get an international coalition for the effort, not calling it a war, calling it an expanded counterterrorism operation. The president, the administration say they have the authority to do this under the authority that was given many years ago. Take a listen to the White House exchange today on what authority they have.
The president is confident that he has the authority that he needs to order military action along the lines of the broadened systematic airstrikes that he described yesterday.
Under AUMF, he wants repealed.
Under an AUMF that he believes continues to apply to this terrorist organization that is operating in Iraq and Syria.
Well, this is the same authorization the president talked about at a speech at the National Defense University May 2013, in which he said needed to be repealed and changed, refined, this mandate. He said he will not sign any laws designed to expand this mandate further because it's old and this war, quote, needs to come to an end. Let's bring in our panel. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Juan Williams, columnist with The Hill, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Charles, I want to start with the Secretary of State saying it's, that's not a good term, war.
Look, when an organization slits the throat of two Americans on international television, deliberately, provocatively, as a way to humiliate the United States, they have declared war on us. Clearly what the president was doing yesterday is to declare war on them. If they want to play with words, okay. But the problem is, if you want to commit the nation to a serious military exertion, there's going to be a serious one, it'll be a costly one, and it will be a long one. You can't play around with language and pretend it is something else. And that disturbs me in the tone of the president last night and in the follow-up tone today, which is all about minimizing what's going on here. You really lose confidence in their seriousness about carrying it out and being open with the American people.
The AUMF is the authorization for military force back to 2001, Judge.
Right.
And Congress is saying, hey, you know what? We need to weigh in on this one.
You know, it's really remarkable under the law. There's the War Powers Resolution, which pretty much lets the president dispatch the military anywhere outside the U.S. for 180 days with the proper notifications to the Congress. He knows this can't be completed in 180 days. He has already discounted the authorization to use military force. ISIS didn't exist at the time. Congress couldn't have intended that the resolution would apply to an organization that didn't exist. So he can't have it both ways. But I suggest to you why he doesn't want to go to Congress. Because he's been tipped off that there's a coalition in the House of Representatives of liberal Democrats and libertarian Republicans that believe the country does not want any more war, and he will not get the resolution that John Boehner would like to give him.
Take a listen to the Speaker of the House and also Senator Corker today.
Now, normally, in such a case, I've been through this a few times over the 24 years that I've been here, the President of the United States would request that support and would supply the wording of a resolution to authorize this force. And at this point in time, we've not gotten that request, and we've not seen that language.
If they were to take the time, the effort to get Congress to authorize this on the front end, the entire operation, I think that our allies will feel much more secure in committee.
What about that, Juan?
Well, first, let me just give a tip of the hat to Judge Napolitano, who has an excellent piece today I'd recommend to everybody on FoxNews.com about the fact that Congress has an obligation to fulfill its authority under the Constitution to either declare war or to give some kind of authorization for military activity. And they have
without the administration's prodding.
Correct, and that they are the ones who need to take some action. Now, you know, I was talking with Senator Paul yesterday. I know that he's concerned about, he says, you know, he doesn't want to give anybody a blank check. I think that's a widespread feeling up there, that if there's a resolution, that they want to know exactly what the United States government, the administration, plans to do so that they can have some constraints, some limits to that action. They don't want to give a blank check to anybody. But the fact is that the Congress of the United States, for all of their nitpicking and backstabbing, they never ever say, you know what, my name's on this, we're going to war, we're going after these guys. They're glad to, you know, hold your hat and complain about it, but they never do it. And one last point on this, the reason that you hear Secretary of State Kerry talking, well, it's not really a war, it's not a matter of wordplay. I mean, I think this administration has been guilty of wordplay in the past. If you recall, they were the ones who talked about man-made crisis as opposed to terrorism. But in this case, there is the sense that you are giving some credence, some more added credibility to ISIS or ISIL if you say we're declaring war on a group that is not a state. They're not a state. They're simply a small, about 15,000 terrorist group. And I think there's a resistance on the part of the administration to grant them that status.
It's a ridiculous argument, because we did exactly that the week after 9/11 in 2001 when we declared war through the resolution, the authorization for the use of force.
The authorization the president is now using.
Exactly.
Correct.
But at the time, that he rejected a few months ago.
Well, he didn't reject. He said he'd like to. Right.
Comma. When at the time we passed a resolution, which is the equivalent of a declaration of war on Al-Qaeda, which is not a state actor. You don't have to be a state actor for America to declare war. That's exactly how we did it in 9/11. And it is ironic that the president today has to invoke that. After a year ago he said we want to abolish this, and he said it's because all wars have to end, like the war on terror. As if he can declare the wars ending the way King Canute that could stop the tides with a declaration. It was an absurd thing to do, and the irony is that by acting today under the act he wanted abolished, he has shown how he completely misunderstood and misanalyzed the situation with the war on terror in 5 years, and he now has to undo all of it. He began undoing it